My name is Marcia, and my background is Jamaican. This is my story. I was raised in a family where my mother was a political activist who met my father, the politician. I learned from an early age to stand up for what is right and what you believe in versus what is easy. My first exposure to activism was when I attended a rally where political songs were sung and I showed the symbol of the party as everyone else was doing. My mother was also a scrutineer, and as I watched her as she collected data from the interviews in different homes, that excited me. And so I continued to demonstrate an avid interest in activism as my father continued to influence change in the trade union and as mayor of the city. One of the biggest moments of my political eyes being open was when the voting age was lowered from 21 to 18 by the late Michael Manley, and for the first time I was able to vote, dipping my fingers into the red ink and never wanting to wash my finger. These were exciting times for schoolers as we got the opportunity for the first time to be a part of the decisions that would influence change and impact Jamaica for generations to come. We were the trendsetters and the first high school students to vote, to witness history being made, and to attend school the following morning celebrating our adulthood, yet not paying taxes. The seed had been sown, and my activism never wavered. As a teacher, going back to teach at my alma mater, I participated in several teacher demonstrations, either outside the Ministry of Education or on the sidewalk of the school, for better salary and benefits, and for stoplights to be placed near the school gates, as several students had been killed by speeding motorists. My mother and father also exposed me to a strong foundation in their Christian faith, which solidified belief that all of us are born equal, and my strong interest in equity and social justice. My faith is my guiding light. Like the lighthouse for the ships, so is my faith. I was taught not to be fearful, but to use fear to motivate me into action, because inertia and apathy would never change anything. So the acronym for FAIR was instilled in me. F equals faith equals hope that things will change, which E energizes me to A, activate my inner strength and draw on my faith to do what is R, right, and not what is easy, copping out. My passion for activism strengthened, and my late mother always told me, like father, like daughter, we are proud of you. Never lose sight of your faith. Be humble. Walk with princes, but never lose the common touch. Thank you. As an immigrant teacher with all my academic credentials from Jamaica, I was constantly asked if I had to do additional courses to qualify myself to teach in Canada. My response would always be a resounding no. Yet I continued to feel that my capabilities and my intelligence to teach were always being questioned. This feeling was confirmed when I did my first AQ course, which was Special Education Part 1, which left me more sympathetic and feeling empathy with the SPEC Ed students. It was during this course that I was constantly being asked about my qualifications as I continued to encounter several acts of discrimination, subtle racism, exclusion, rudeness, and condescending behavior. I would share these encounters with my colleagues at Brookview Middle School, who continued to reassure me that I was qualified because the TDSB employed me. I was even made to feel worse when I made a cake for snacks and no one ate that cake. I had to take it home. But what the enemy meant for evil, God turned it around for my good. That only strengthened my desire for justice when I joined the staff at another school, and I received constant encouragement from my new colleague, Tony Bagwat, who was the behavior teacher, and I was the MID, the mild intellectual development teacher. He recognized the care I demonstrated for my students, and together we encouraged our administrators to change our class names from behavior to grade 6, 7, 8, F, and MID to grade 6, 7, 8E. I was again surplused and met Sue Kirby, who needed an alternate. So I decided to take my Canadian plunge into activism. My first taste was at an annual meeting where I met Felicia Samuels, and then at the full-day steward training at the Toronto Delta Center, where we were placed into workshops, and the facilitators were both Pam Dogra and Felicia Samuels. I was impressed by the passion of these young women of color standing up for justice, and that electrified me. I was hooked and I never looked back. Since then, I have joined several committees, including the Anti-Racism, Equity, and Social Justice Committee, CB Committee, PD Committee, and I am presently the chair of PAC. I am into my second term as a regional councillor. I previously served 2 terms as a member of the Provincial Status of Women's Committee, and I have participated in several workshops, rallies, and conferences, and I was able to pass the members-only meeting motion on November the 22nd. I hate injustice, oppression, racism, and discrimination. And my first encounter with being a victim of an education system that is designed to divide and conquer was when I was sent home by a principal. Because a white boy in my special ed class, who was never taken to team, accused me of dropping a carousel desk on him. He moved threateningly at a classmate, another Asian boy, and I encouraged the youngster to report the incident to the principal. Needless to say, I was read the riot act. No question asked, but I believe the opportunity presented itself for my principal to retaliate, because I always challenged administration when it came to equity with my students, the intensive communication class, the euphemism for dumb class. Now I know David conquered Goliath, but I do not possess the strength to lift a carousel desk. Yet I was let out of the school like someone contaminating the place and being watched to ensure my departure of school property. However, before I left my classroom, I ensured that the IEPs that were due and had been packaged was nicely handed to my VP for her perusal, as I smiled and told her of the comments I noted for her approval. My parents would have been proud. With the avid support of my executive officer, Pam Dogra, and the continued encouragement to keep my faith by Sonia Ellisigan, I was eventually cleared of all charges. However, I decided to remain at that site with my integrity, which was a little bit scathed, but intact. However, one of my biggest concerns during this situation was for my students who had to be questioned by the police. But I reassured the parent that as long as the truth was told, the truth would set me free. At the end of the school year, my principal transferred out. It was a battle that at times rattled my faith and made me question myself. But it proved that when you stand up for what you believe and when you challenge the status quo, be prepared for a dose of backlash and a bucket full of reprisals. But when the going gets tough, the tough gets going, and I was adamant and determined that I would still be standing at the end of the rounds in this battle. I am a teacher employed by the TDSB. I do not expect to be treated unjustly. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Do not judge me by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character." I am saying it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. So colleagues, this is our union and not the union. We are all stakeholders in the struggle together, and a chain is as strong as its weakest link. United we bargain, divided we beg. That is a message on a button I bought at the Chicago Labor Notes Conference. As we ask our students to make connections, so should we try to make a connection with something today. Have a conversation with at least one teacher when you return to your respective school. And make a decision to be a part of the change, because change is coming. We have to work together to save all our students, and we have to put aside our differences and become a force to be reckoned with. The change we want to see, we must decide to be that change. Become active. You do not have to be an activist, but I encourage you to become active. Attend at least one ETT general meeting and go back to your schools and engage your colleagues. Join at least one committee and become a part of the change in labor to see and learn what we can do to change the system. Visualize what changes we would like individually, and then visualize what that looks like collectively. Brothers and sisters in the labor movement, we have to get it right. We pay union dues. We must fight to procure the best education system that benefits our students and a system that makes our lives less stressful. Become involved and give our ETT executive more ammunition to work at the bargaining table in defending our rights. When teachers are being sent home daily on allegations that cannot change and cannot be substantiated and nothing happens, we become more fearful. Hold our executive and our EOs accountable and stop saying the union. I have learned that even when I'm fearful and I try not to make my opponents any wiser. I stand up on the inside and fight back. Use the resources and institutions that are available to protect our rights. So I challenge you to make the choice to do something different when you return to your classrooms. Let us do what is right by our students to do what is right for us. Activate the inner Davids within us to defeat the Goliath system. Speak to an ETT organizer and tell your stories in the interviews. Ask how you can become active or more active, and let us begin to ramp up engines of solidarity, turning the tides into a tsunami collective bargaining that hopefully cleanses the system of oppression. Remember, united we stand, divided we fall. Stand up, and in the words of Bob Marley, get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. We're tired of the ism and the schisms. Brothers and sisters, solidarity. Thank you.